Hey, what is up, guys? My name is Emiliano. I am experienced in calisthenics as well as weightlifting, and I'm sure at some point in our lifting journey, if you have any experience when it comes to fitness, we've all seen the 50 push-ups a day videos. There's hundreds that you can find out there. And as you get a little bit more experience, I'm sure at some point we all could have agreed that all these videos are bullshit, right? You probably continue seeing them and you're like, why do people keep on making these videos? They're so annoying. Like, that's not even how you build muscle, blah, blah, blah. But after evaluating everything, I can kind of say that it's not that bad. And I'll tell you guys why. Now, before I do get into it, of course, building muscle, building a good physique, there's so many more things that you can get really into. There's so many rabbit holes, so many mistakes that you can make. However, if you don't want to have to make all those mistakes yourself, I am opening a free 30-day trial with one-on-one coaching with me. Just fill out that first link in the description. I'll reach out. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can still agree with me, right? I continue to judge it to this day because if anyone that watches these videos has any kind of lifting experience, I'm sure we would all agree that, of course, doing 50 push-ups every day, not only is it not targeting every single muscle in your body, because I'm looking at it from a complete bodybuilding and muscle building perspective, right? Because I'm sure that every single person that watches all of these videos of 100 push-ups a day, doing 200 push-ups a day, changed my life. They're all watching it from a perspective of, I want to build muscle, I want to look better. And the reality is that we can all agree that doing 50 push-ups a day, whether it's 50 or 100 or 200, although that can get you stronger, that can build muscle in your chest, shoulders, and triceps, you're gonna build some kind of imbalance at some point, right? You're not gonna be strong in your back, your legs, every single other muscle group that is not worked with a push-up. And although it can help with functionality, it's not very optimal. However, if you train smart and you actually know the fundamentals of muscle building, it's not that bad. Because of course, yeah, doing 50 push-ups a day, not only is it not going to be optimal for recovery because you're not supposed to train the same muscle group back to back every single day. You're not going to, build muscle in other areas of your body. It's not necessarily the most effective way to progressively overload because it's just pure calisthenics. However, like I said, let me explain to you why it's not that bad. As long as you follow these guides and these videos of doing 50 push-ups a day, 100 push-ups a day, but you add the fundamentals of muscle building, you can make significant progress. However, if you're going to do this, and I believe that only people that don't have necessarily access to a gym, or maybe they're very busy, or they're just wanting to get started with muscle building and they want to do pure calisthenics, which by all means go ahead and do it. That's how I started my muscle building journey and my, overall strength training journey. By all means do it. However, instead of just following the basic 50 push-ups a day hype, do something like this. As opposed to doing push-ups every single day back to back, do it 3 times per week. Why? Because like I said earlier, if you're genuinely, especially if you're beginning, 50 push-ups a day is going to be more than enough in terms of muscle training stimulus in order to cause muscle growth. However, muscles grow while you are asleep. And typically, you need at least 48 hours between each training session before you train that same muscle before you train that same muscle again in order to give it a greater stimulus. So by training it 3 times a week and spreading it out like this, you're giving your body at least 48 hours between each session. So let's say you do your 50 push-ups on Monday, rather than doing them again on Tuesday, do them on Wednesday. That's going to give you a little bit more of a time block for your body to recover. Number 2, focus on progressive overload. If you just keep doing those same 50 push-ups every single day, you don't change anything at all, your body adapts, and it adapts pretty relatively quickly. I know because I went through this. I started with calisthenics, and if you're not adding some kind of greater stimulus to your body, you're gonna eventually hit a plateau, right? You're not gonna build more strength, you're not gonna build more muscle. So instead of continuing to do the same 50 push-ups, focus on always quality reps, right? instead of doing 50 push-ups, focus on being able to do 25 clean push-ups going all the way down, touching your chest, going all the way up. Or doing some other kind of progressive overload, like getting some parallettes and increasing the range of motion of these push-ups, or adding some weights to these push-ups, or instead of just doing push-ups, doing dips, doing pull-ups or inverted rows, so that you're actually working your biceps and your back as well, not just your push muscles. And you can do this in different kinds of ways, right? Like I said, do the push-ups or do the push muscles 3 times out of a week, and then on those rest days or those days in between those, do legs and do your pull muscles, do your back and biceps. And that's going to give you a little bit better of a structure routine, so that way you can actually track your lifts and genuinely apply progressive overload, which is what's going to yield the best results in terms of hypertrophy and strength improvement. Not only is this going to add a better balance to your physique because you're actually training all other muscle groups, but that's going to make you look better, feel better, and overall just help you develop a much more well-rounded physique. Point of this video, do them smarter. Don't just do whatever you see online of, just bust out random push-ups every single day. I'm sure that can help, maybe to wake yourself up, but if your main sole purpose and your main objective is to build muscle, do it how I stated in this video, work smarter. And this video is specifically more targeted for my not so much experienced gym beginners. Maybe if you're a complete gym beginner, that's like the best target audience for this video. But if you're already more into the gym, you're more experienced, you've already done weightlifting, you know what progressive overload entails, I really don't see a point of doing this unless maybe you're traveling, you don't have access to a gym, that kind of thing. And the reality is that most people, they'll just see this video, just sit at home and won't take action. They won't even do the 50 push-up challenge, which is what is there's so much of a hype about. They won't even do that. And the reason is because they don't have accountability. They overthink instead of taking action and, getting feedback and adjusting from there. They just simply don't even take action. They don't even take action on the first push-up, which is why I opened my free 30-day challenge for people that want to get started and are actually serious, want to commit to changing their physique significantly in the next 30 days. So just click the first link in the description. I'll reach out and we can get you started with one-on-one coaching. See you then.